Therapeutic Strategy Lead at Worldwide Clinical Trials, here to talk a little bit about optimizing cell and gene therapy programs. Our approach begins by reminding ourselves that there are many, many stakeholders involved in the process. And we know that we can optimize things by thinking about what are their needs and planning for them as early as possible. Seen from a certain perspective, most, if not all of those stakeholders have a shared goal of making sure that safe and effective treatments reach patient communities. We think about the entire development life cycle, but what does optimum mean can really vary on where is one in their development life cycle, how early are they planning, and a variety of other factors. But to begin at the beginning, we design these trials around the patient. Shown there is the green symbol. The sponsors, of course, are intimately involved in this process, but getting a partner involved as early as possible really helps mapping things out for that optimization. I think cell therapy and gene therapy sponsors do a great job of really forming relationships with patient communities. Sometimes they bring in those professionals later in their development program, right, as they get closer to the clinic. So one approach that's worked really well for us is to be that partner to sponsors and help them build that intentional reciprocal relationship with that community from the earliest times possible. This really involves assessing the capacity of that advocacy organization or that community and what their needs are, looking for ways to have a true give and take, learning about what does meaningful change look like for that community. What is that definition? And it can be really helpful to learn which clinics, which physicians do they think so highly of that they are already engaged with. Those physicians are going to be the ones who maybe have the best insights into the community, but they may also be the ones where more of the community gets their care, which has implications for recruitment and timelines. But all of these play into the eventual commercial success. Building these relationships are part of what optimizes the program overall. But we recognize, there's a lot of learnings that can be had from a CRO partner, even the most dedicated, experienced sponsor team that will have had their one lived experience, whereas the CRO has the opportunity to be running hundreds of trials. Some of those learnings come from direct experience, as shown at the top there, the same indication, maybe the same IP. Maybe we already have relationships with patient advocacy organizations and can make those introductions, in addition to the adjacent experience that we bring to every program that we work on, that collected experience and how does it overlap with the next thing we're going to do. So your CRO partner should be helpful as early as possible, gathering and sharing insights for the right year at the right time for that maximum benefit. Of course, there's the timeline budget to be mapped out. But also, if we can, be thinking together on what is the clearest path to marketing approval for you and what can we be building in as early as possible to maximize that commercial success. Because seen from the other end of the telescope, that's the same thing as patients having access to a safe, effective treatment. Part of the equation, of course, is what is the value proposition for each of those families, for each of those patients, for that community at large? And just as importantly, how is that going to be communicated? So we think about it in the traditional value proposition canvas. What are the benefits they're looking for? What are the features of this program? What is the experience they're going to be having? It can be very helpful to have built already a relationship with the community at this stage. But if you haven't yet, this is the perfect time to be going out and talking with the community, learning from them on what is important for optimizing the operations of this program. Lots of factors will play into that. How much development has already happened for that community? Are there competing gene therapy programs? Is this an early phase program, a late phase program? But really what we're looking for is which of those can be addressed with operational solutions. The more of these that we can solve on the front end, the more seamlessly the entire recruitment process goes for all parties, the sites, the patient communities, ourselves. Another part of the overall optimization is the who and how executing that operations. We have found in the rare disease space, patient navigators have become even more useful than they used to be. We see that they're doing a lot more coordination. The concepts maybe originated with oncology at the site level. We are seeing patient communities stand up their own patient navigators. We've certainly been part of standing up navigators on behalf of communities, but having that trustworthy, neutral party to give expert input. There are times, not all of them, when having a clinical trial liaison as part of the operational team is very helpful for that peer-to-peer communication with the investigator, as well as solutioneering, right? The boots on the ground, what are the real barriers at the site? In addition to the sponsor's own patient advocacy and engagement professional. How is the trial operationalized? That is always the burning question. Where will this be done and how quickly can we get the study going? Increasingly, we're recognizing that competition in the space means that the FACT JC accredited sites for cell therapy are very busy. When we can, we like to offer them some relief by giving them support such as IBC concierge, in addition to taking the programs when possible to additional settings, such as community hospitals, such as the ones that aren't running all of the other trials, but have either the experience or the pieces that are put together to build competence at that site. In addition to the patient experience, providing concierge travel support for that family so they aren't busy trying to make the arrangements and paying out of pocket. And safety first, always first. But that doesn't mean there isn't an opportunity for incorporating some hybrid decentralized elements where appropriate, when appropriate, depending on the length of the study, where it is in the development program, things like telemedicine, things like using home health to collect safety biomarkers. But all these become even more important as it moves towards that long-term follow-up period. It can be a lengthy commitment on the part of the family, and the more we can do to take the burden off of them, the higher likelihood of retaining them and having that maximum data package to give not just to regulators, but also to bring to the table with payers. So putting the pieces together, in our view, optimizing a study means recognizing and meeting the needs of all stakeholders in order to minimize the time from concept to patient access to these revolutionary medicines. Thanks so much.